Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are finishing up our reading of Salem's Lot, and I'm joined by Nova and James.
Hello.
Hello.
I cannot wait to get into this. It was very good.
Yeah.
I love vampire books so much.
I sat there and I saw earlier last night. No, it was last night. I saw the ad of what you were talking about. You know how we were in the last recording talking about Vampire Academy and like that I felt. Yeah, I just saw the advertisement on Peacock about it.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
I'm like looking at this as like, oh God, this actually looks pretty good. And then I said to myself, oh my God, I need to commence an exorcism. I just said something like Vampire Academy looks so good. It just
It
had
looks
shower.
really good, though.
It
Like,
does.
I think they updated it because, it's very, very 2013 energy, because I feel like we all read it during that time period. I don't know if it was actually published then, but it's very early 2000s kind of vibe.
Yeah, that sounds about the right time.
But
I agree with the
wasn't
publishing, but that's when everyone was reading it.
Yeah. And so I feel like this show, just from the trailer, it looks like they're updating it a little bit, which I think is necessary. Otherwise, it's going to be very cringy.
But is it already a contemporary setting to begin with from the source material? Or is it like a little bit more... Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's modern, supposed to be, but modern in the sense they had flip phones. So...
Okay, so you're looking at early 2000s.
Yeah.
But
so
it goes to show you just... That was contemporary, and you look at it now 20 years later, and that's totally... kids look at that as ancient time. Which it's like,
right?
Don't fucking make me feel old. But yeah, I get that. It's funny because people say, "Oh, we're doing a contemporary setting." I was like, "Oh, so we doing like 90s, 2000?" He was like, "No, we're gonna do a current day." And it's like, are you saying that that's not contemporary setting anymore? I feel attacked.
Right.
I really hope they make it current day, because it was supposed to be current day when we were all reading it, and I feel like you'll get a lot more newer readers. Otherwise, it's gonna fall apart like the original TV and show adaptation did. And I feel like with the fact of the popularity of Vampire Diaries, they could easily get a lot of new viewership, but we'll see if they actually do.
Let's hope that it works, because when they did Stephen King's The Stand, they put it in a contemporary setting. They didn't do it back during the actual time period in which King wrote that book. And it kind of takes it out of me, because it's like, I've read part of the book, and I grew up watching the 94 miniseries, which even then that was a bit contemporary, to say the least, but it still fit the whole grand scheme of the book. But when I watched, and I don't feel like the actors did bad. It was just maybe the writing. And, to me, it's all like, what? There's a lot of this shit that could have been fixed if you actually had the technology we had today. So it almost seems like the technology we have today, it's like, I think we would have been a little bit more connected. There would have been far easier way to make sure if someone was safe. You didn't have to freaking walk or pray that the car you're driving was going to break down and everything. It's like, oh, I got this phone in my pocket. Let's see if the towers are still activated. That's what I didn't like. Yeah.
My thing is, if it's in the 90s, keep it in the 90s. But if it's 2000 and later, just age it up. It's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much of a big gap.
If it's close enough to now, just make it now.
Yeah. But if it's 90s, keep it 90s. Because there's a 90s revival anyways. People like it if it's set in the 90s. If it's set in the 80s, cool. But if it's set 2005, that's a time period we're all trying to forget. Let us forget it, please.
The 90s are the new 80s, as as a recent, if the what was that Netflix R.L. Stein series that they did? I can't remember it, but that was all 90s. But they also did throwbacks to the 80s and whatnot. But most of the people love the setting of the 90s, and I feel like if you can pull it off very well, you can give people that huge nostalgia boost as what a lot of people feel of the 80s.
I've been seeing people on TikTok trying to romanticize 2012, and it makes me want to throw up. They're like, imagine going to going to high school in 2012, 2013. I'm like, no.
I
What are you
graduated
doing?
that year, so
I was a sophomore, I think.
my
Yeah.
schooling was
I was
08 to 12, so
I
in
graduated
2012 as a
14.
freshman. I graduated 2016, so you would have been a.
it was right when I went into college. The film school program, 2016. Man, it fucking makes me feel old.
It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, Salem's Lot.
Oh,
Yes. Every time I hear that line, I get youthful.
Yeah. Brings you some serotonin.
Mm-hmm.
So, part 3, The Deserted Village. I like that there's just a quote that's tagged and it says, an old rock song. I'm like, is this a joke? Is this Stephen King making a joke? Like, why did he not quote the song? Or did he just, like, make this whole thing up? Did you guys
That's
see
King.
that?
That's King for you. Like, I've read
Yeah.
enough of his work that I can pick up a little bit on some of the humor that maybe not a lot of people pick. And I look at that and I was like, oh, that's funny. You know,
Here's the quote for everyone. I heard a voice crying from the deep. Come join me, baby, in my endless sleep. Quote, old rock and roll song.
that
What?
actually could probably be like maybe the early. I don't know the song exactly, but judging just by the lyrics, it sounds like kind of like the early days of rock and roll whenever it was still coming out of the blues movement or so something like that. Because that sounds like something blues or jazz wise,
I just
you
don't know why
know.
he wouldn't quote the song, you know what I mean? Like, but the
It,
actual
it's
song?
it's that, or maybe just in that universe, that's just a made up song. Because in the stand, he did, "Can I Be Your Man," and that became so popular. So chances are it could be just that. It could just be some old song and everything. I've never heard of those lyrics.
Yeah.
Those don't click to me at the moment. But if it's a real song, then we gotta have the viewers listen to it, not on the podcast, but like on their own personal time.
I'm honestly Googling it and
Yeah.
finding nothing.
So
So,
chances are it was like "Baby, Can I Be Your Man" from I forgot what's the name of the character in the stand, but King kind of wrote a song about that, and also too King is in a band. He did have like a band growing up that you didn't know about this.
no.
Yeah. Okay. So Stephen King knows a few chords. He says in interviews he knows a few chords on the guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and there is this band. I think he's done it with I think it's a couple authors that's with them. Hold on, real quick.
I feel
Let
like I
me
saw this on Instagram or something.
music. Yeah, because he has his own band. Um. Oh my God, where is it? Uh. But like they mostly do like covers, and they more or less just jam.
Love that.
I'm trying to find it.
I'm still
Stephen
trying to
King's
see if I can
band,
figure
the
out
Rock
this.
Bottom Remainders. That's what it is. And there's like so many people. There's like Dave Barry, Stephen King, Amy Tan, Sam Barry, Ridley Pearson, Scott Turow, Joel Selvin. There's so many people, and I'm sorry because there's just a huge lineup. I'm guessing it's like all changed, but they're professional musicians. Some of them are authors, and they work in other forms. But I don't know if they've actually released. They haven't released
So,
an album, but
I did see that this song could be Endless Sleep by Johnny and the Roccos. The Roccos. But I
that sounds like something King grew up listening to. That sounds
but
like a
here's the thing, this
1950s
song
band,
has like 3 stanzas.
which was typical of that time. Most
Like
songs weren't past 2 minutes; they were
this
very
is
short.
this is like 40 seconds maybe. Like there's no way this.
But we don't know how much of it is like instrumental jam in
Yeah.
between. Like they could be singing for like 15 seconds and then break into a 30-second solo.
Let me see if I can actually listen to it. Maybe. Firm, maybe. Nope, okay. Someone has to give this to me. I just want to know if this is actually real. Oh, it's on a album called Vampire's Halloween Jukebox.
Really?
I love that.
It's a real
Yeah.
song. But I guess it is 2 minutes. They just didn't have the full lyrics on there, which is fine. But interesting. I love that it's on a playlist called Vampire Music.
That's
It's
amazing.
not it's not unheard of for King to do it, to like add real life music or just make up music on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the Dark Tower series, believe it or not, there's quite a couple of Beatles songs that pop up. But they're kind of sung differently. There may be a lyric twist different because it's supposed to be an alternate world
Mm-hmm.
and everything. And there'll be these people that are like singing this song, and Roland will kind of like reminisce, like, "Oh, I remember hearing that song back when I was a kid." And it's like, dude, it's been like over 100 years. It's like, I'm surprised these people still know how to play that music. And, you know, and it's funny because none of the characters that had grew up in modern times, like the rest of the Kaitet, they haven't pointed out like, oh yeah, I know that song, because they play Hey Jude a lot. That's a song that pops up. That's like, that's their Skinnerd in the universe. You know, it's Hey Jude.
Love that. I'm gonna have to read that at some point. One day.
That's gonna take a couple of years. I'm still on book 5, and I got that halfway across the year, and I finally had to sit there and say, I got to put you down. I'm consuming too much of you right now. You're gonna kill me before I finish you.
When I read Zodiac Academy, I haven't finished the last book yet because the next book doesn't come out, and I know it's gonna make me bawl my eyes out, and I'm just not emotionally ready to be torn apart right now. But I was reading it until like 6 a.m. a lot of days, and I'm like, I need to stop. I have a
Yeah,
problem.
Oh my
but
god, yep.
that just goes to show you just how great a book can be, is when you know you got work to do, but you're like, yeah, fuck that work. I want to sit there and read you. And there'll be times I'll tell myself just 20 pages, just 20
Mm-hmm.
pages. And then here we are 70 pages later. And
Just
it's
to the end
like,
of this chapter, and then I'll put it
Mm-hmm.
down, and then I'll do whatever, and I'll come
yeah, but see,
back.
that doesn't work when
17 chapters
Stephen
later.
when Stephen King's chapters, depending on some of his books, are actually 50 to 60 pages long.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
And you
one.
know, yeah. Like there's some of them that are like maybe 21. I think that's about the shortest one, 21 pages for a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. You know, other than that, you know, it's, yeah, they're all super long. But I like the way how King did this, because King, even though they may be chapters, King breaks them all up in these nice little scenes that it almost feels like television writing. Because if you could really look at how he has laid out his story, you could just take certain chapters and say that's a TV episode, that's it, and just give it to the writers, and it's like, make an episode out of this entire chapter, and bam,
Yeah.
you'll have a good hour worth of content right there in a chapter. Which I can see why now we haven't seen many Stephen King movies come out, but we've seen a lot of television, and it's just because of his writing style. It fits TV so well.
Mm-hmm.
It does, yeah.
But speaking of his writing style, chapter 14, The Lot. So, right off the bat, we get Ruthie is now a vampire, and now she suddenly finds Dud's advances acceptable. And I was like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's creepy. She is
Right.
still a high school girl, and that is a grown man. And that's disgusting. That's all I'm going to say about that.
She's snatching from the cradle and vice versa.
Yeah, gross. Just gross.
Yeah, gross.
And then we got October 6th. Everyone is dead. Love the starting the chapter off this way. I love that they're like, hey, by the end of this, whole town's going to be dead. I'm like, oh, are you
Yeah.
sure? And it's like, yes. Yes, I am sure.
They're just giving
So,
you the facts straight up.
yeah, I love
By
that.
the way, everybody's dead.
Yep.
You're welcome.
It's the best
So
way to
we
open up
got,
a chapter.
truly, we got Weasel missing. Eva's searching for him right now. It's not going well. Susan and a random dude, maybe Barlow, possibly. I think it's Barlow. We're not really
Yeah,
sure who it
yeah.
is. Okay. It sounded like it was Barlow, but they don't say at the time. But they got the sheriff. So sheriff also dead. So Mark is planning to go meet with Ben, being like, "Hey, your girlfriend, definitely a vampire now. Just so you know."
Mm-hmm.
It's such a
So,
homegrown scene too.
huh?
It's such a like a Hallmark scene. I think that's a better
Oh,
way to describe it, because the way how the scene's so laid out, that they're out there looking at the sun in the early morning as it rises, and it's like, Susan's a vampire. He's like, "You sure about that?" And it's like, "Yeah." And it's like, that's kind of like it. And it's like, oh, like, you feel bad because it's happening, but at the same time, it's all like, why does this feel like I'm getting a really good postcard vibe from this? It's very odd, but
yeah.
it is what it is. That's pretty much just what the scene is, and that's
Mhm.
just what Mark and Ben are trying to, I guess, communicate to themselves. It is what it is.
So while Mark is telling Ben that Susan is now a vampire, he's getting these flashbacks to his first wife. So we finally get to learn more about that. It turns out, I thought we always just got like motorcycle accident. No, like he fully saw his first wife under the tires of a van. I'm like, how did they one stop on top of her and not move? Like that you had to either stop really, really fast or you just why did they stay on top of her? Like I don't understand.
It's just probably a case of situation. That is a really, really good question. But also, too, as
Also,
fast as he was probably going on a motorcycle, her getting slung, that's probably how she got under.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Just trying to figure out how you stop on top of a person and don't like move off, you
it
know?
happens. It
hmm,
happens. You know,
I know nowadays, like when you get in an accident, unless it's like with something like that, they would be like, don't move it. Do not move. Because you can actually cause more damage to a person if you end up
Mhm.
moving it than letting
Mhm.
like someone like the fire department who's obviously trained to do it. My dad actually was the fire department where he was at college.
Mhm.
There was a car accident and the woman was under the car and a bunch
Mhm.
of people came, lifted the car off of her to get her out and she passed away. And oh, they were like, oh, we couldn't get her in time and whatnot. And one of them asked one of the firefighters, they're like, did we have anything to do with that? And they said no, but in reality, because they moved the car off of her, they ended up crushing her more. Yeah. So if they had waited for the fire department, they have things to help lift, ease. So
Yeah.
that's what they say is, like if you can, just leave them there and let.
Let the
But yeah,
professionals
things like
help.
that happens all the time. It's just the way, you know, it
Yeah,
seems weird, but it's very
possible.
plausible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't know how they swerved, whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just
There's so many variables to it, but the
Mhm.
but
thing
yeah.
is King's only feeding us so many. You
Yeah.
know, it's not necessary to know the whole, like, he stopped at such and such, so she had the velocity speed of whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He just gave us what we needed to know, and let our brains figure that out for ourselves.
Yeah.
Fair.
And accidents are crazy. Like
Yeah.
some of the things that, because obviously my dad's with the fire department, I've seen pictures and stuff, and even just in a small town, the things you sometimes
Yeah.
see is like, how does this happen? Like,
In Florida, a big thing is we see a lot of single car accidents where they flip the vehicle
hmm,
in a bright sunny day all the time, and I just don't ever understand how they like get to that situation. I'm like, is the
yeah.
gravity different wherever you are? Like,
Do they call that sunny side upping?
They should. I don't know if anybody does,
That
but
was a
they
lame ass
should.
joke. Please edit that out.
No, it's staying in.
No, that was good.
Damn it.
That was good.
There's gonna be some person that's all like, my such and such was in an accident and it wasn't funny, and it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I have dark humor. I'm sorry, my humor can get a little too out there.
Yeah, it's just dark humor.
It's
Like,
fine. It's not like
Someone's
we're
gonna
like
get
talking about
offended
someone
either way.
specifically.
yeah,
Listen.
you're not disrespecting them intentionally. It's just a little dark humor.
Yeah, it's fine. So Ben and Mark go out and they're like, now they're a team. So they found Susan's car, which is good. But the problem is that Susan not in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least like I guess that kind of gives Ben like a sense of like, okay, this is real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this kid is not making it up.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide to go over to the hospital to fill Matt in on everything that's happening. Rip, our man. And so they go over there and they're planning to try and confront the vampires today. So they're trying to get everybody together to go be like, hey, vampires, we know you're vampires, which not a good idea, but whatever. So apparently there's rituals to get a vampire into the town, and that's why they sent Straker here first to go like take care of everything. So they had to get rid of like that dog because it had white eyes, which are supposed to be like the eyes of heaven or something. And he had to like prep the land. You had to have an already super evil guy desecrate the land. So it was prepared for them. So that's why they took Hubby's house, Hubie's house, whatever. But yeah,
he
so
was
they
a
had
hubby at one point until he blew her brains out. So
Hubie the hubby. So,
but yeah, it made sense that was why why most familiars are always sent out to accustom their master's new home. And yeah, it still sucks. Like the dog died, knowing you're not supposed to kill the dog. That's the big rule in horror. You'd never kill the house pet or anything.
Yeah.
Though I know there's some people who are indifferent about cats, but I love cats, so you never kill the cat neither.
Correct.
But in this one, it follows so well into the lore that it's like, oh wow, this dog could have been so much of a threat to this great vampire, based on just, for one, the breed, and because of the design of where it has the white circles around, it would scare them. It, yeah.
And then
poor puppy.
Not only is our whole list of getting the vampire there, there's also an entire list of killing the vampire. They're like, so you got to stake him through, then chop off his head, then get him a coffin, then do this and this and this and this and this. So there's like a giant list of things they have to do to make sure this vampire stays dead. I was like, can you write me a note so that I can actually just like bring it with me and then use it as like a little checklist? Because I'm not very proficient in hunting vampires, so
it's like a checklist that Ray has to keep. All right, I did this. Fuck, we forgot this. We gotta dig them back up again.
Tattoo it on my arm, and it says "Vampire Death Checklist." And they're like, "Wow, what a fun tattoo! You must be really into horror movies." And I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, very into horror movies."
Just imagine what the mortuary assistant and all of them got to sit there and think of when they're exhuming the body. They're like, what the fuck is this? Oh, it's ancient text printed on skin.
You die and you're at the funeral home and they're like,
oh, she didn't pick up those eggs and milk on the way home.
We're just going to put you back in the box.
One side, vampire checklist. The other side, my grocery list.
Yeah.
So, Ben apparently has to be the one to kill Susan because she has to act as her husband for some reason, which I did not understand this, really.
Yeah, I didn't really either.
I think it was more of a moral thing to get Ben to do it, because not neither one of them could sit there and do it, and they knew as close as Ben was to her. That's my interpretation, at least, is that in a sense, it like even though they didn't call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend, they were a couple. They were,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so it's very much like, the only person that should do this is you. It's
Mhm.
like, set her free. It's like having to take Lassie out the back of the farmhouse. You love her so much, but she's sick and she's got rabies, and you hate to
Uh,
fucking do it. I think it's different now because we have medication, we have all the stuff for rabies, but back then they didn't.
Yeah.
But
I knew someone
so
who might have had to do that if because their dog got some
that's the
kind of
tough.
parasite,
That's the toughest shit
and
ever.
she was either like just like staring off into space, not acknowledging anything, or trying to rip their face off. There was nothing. And so they were trying to get her to the vet, but they're like, if she goes haywire, they're like, we won't get her there.
Yeah,
They did manage to get her there, but they were like prepping just in case. And it's just
That's so sad.
it is.
Oh,
Oh my god,
so sad.
I know.
I want my cat.
And we still get Susan's death to freaking cover, and it's
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh god.
we
I was
just
more
took
upset about Matt's death because Susan did like the stupidest thing you could physically do. So
yeah. But
Yeah.
it's the fact that it's her connection though with Ben and how Ben processes it that what really hurts.
Yeah.
Like instead of her waiting up to sit there and do this, yeah, she did the foolish thing of, oh, well, we're gonna talk to this person, even though there's no one out there. So
Mhm.
even if she would have been all by herself, Stryker would have gotten her and threw her in the cellar and locked her in.
Yeah.
She would have been doomed from the start, regardless of what she would have done. But also too, I think it's more of a learning. It's more of a learning for Ben that you can't take these guys lightly, because even for a child to be with a woman, what they did to Matt, what Stryker did to him, and then what Barlow did to her, that just kind of cements more the seriousness of the scenario of these guys are not fucking around, and we need to like get our shit together. And this was the moment right here
Mhm.
where it's they're not playing with kid gloves anymore. The majority of the town's been converted or is in
Yeah.
the process of being converted. It's like we fucked around and found out way too soon.
Yeah. So we flash over and we see Eva going down into her cellar, and the fact that it smells like death. She knows something's going on, like subconsciously, but she doesn't really know what's happening. So, uh, you know, then we flash back to um, our group. Father Callahan is listening to everyone's confession, so they have a complete. Sorry, wow, I'm just like stuttering through that entire sentence and couldn't stop. Father Callahan has to hear all of their confessions so that they have a clean soul, so that they can do, vampire killing. Not sure why you need a clean soul for that. Seems like it would be immediately muddied. Don't get it, but whatever. It's fine. So, kind of upset that we didn't get to hear all the confessions. I would have liked the juicy goss, but it's fine. We don't get it. They then go to the store and buy all of the garlic available in the town. The cashier was like, I would not want to be in a car ride with you guys on the way home. Have fun with that. Not sure what you're making, but okay. Which I liked this little slice of humor. But it's funny to me that they don't even use it. Like they bought all this garlic and they're like, okay, oh well, forget about that. Like I don't know why they bought it
They could
all and they
just be
just don't
doing
touch
like a spaghetti cook-off, and that could have covered for. It's about to get saucy here in a bit, so.
I would have been like, I'm pouring this all over me.
Yeah.
Here, let's just like take a shower in garlic.
Yeah.
My nose will hate me forever, but
Well, I think maybe
it's better than the alternative.
facts. I think maybe when they went to the rose shop and the roses were all sold out, then they're like, oh, this is what happens if Straker actually cares. So obviously the garlic doesn't really matter, is my guess. Maybe.
I think it was probably
Because
easier to get rid of roses a lot quicker than the shortage of onions. I think
yeah.
an onion shortage would have frightened more people out than a rose, like what was it? It had to have been a red or a black or something like that.
White.
Yeah. I don't
White
And
know.
rose. There you go.
yeah,
So
that's
I don't
easy
think
enough of like you're putting it
that's
on
easier.
someone's grave or something.
Yeah, that's easier to sweep underneath the rug compared to there's all this garlic shortage. I think I said onion at first, but garlic
Mhm.
shortage, it's like, there's a big shortage of that. It's like,
We
I
had to
think we
drive
need
an
to
hour to get
investigate that.
garlic.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have been very much like,
Yeah. Plus, I
Straker had
feel
to
like,
pick and choose.
yeah, if Straker is going to town and buying all the roses, they're like, okay, maybe like his partner or whatever really likes roses, something like that. But if he bought 18 tons of garlic, including fresh garlic, garlic cloves, and minced garlic, he would probably be like, okay, new
Garlic
guy's a little
powder.
weird.
There's something weird going on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Would garlic powder though work though? Because it's mixed in with a bunch of things. I can't imagine someone who's like, "Where's all the minced garlic? Oh, we used it all in the cooking last night. Do we have any powder? Yeah." And then like they're
As
just
someone
in
who's
hand
already
blowing
allergic
it.
to garlic,
Yeah.
the garlic powder is drastically worse for me than just like normal garlic.
Huh.
So, yeah. Like normal garlic hurts. Garlic powder though really hurts.
Huh.
I don't know why.
Interesting.
I don't know if there's just more of it in like a small.
Could be
Compared to in
whatever
its
you're
raw
like
form.
allergic to is what's in the powder versus
Yeah.
so it's more
Yeah.
concentrated.
That's what I was saying.
Like
Like if maybe you just when you use garlic powder, you tend to use more than what you would use if you just use fresh garlic. I don't know.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
like with
Now I gotta
mine,
test
like
this theory. I gotta
some
make a movie.
oils. No, oils I can't have, but like Honey Nut Cheerios has almond flour. I
mhm.
never had an issue with that.
Hmm.
So it's something in like the oil versus the powder that I was allergic to.
It's gonna be really fun when we go out to eat and I'm gonna be like, hi, I have a gluten allergy. But also, she's very allergic to anything that's not gluten when it comes to flour because trees.
It's like, do you want some toast, ma'am? It's probably gonna be all you can afford, or
No, because
all you
like
can take.
if I have toast, I'll die. If Nova has the toast that I eat, she'll die. So it's Russian roulette.
Oh my god!
yeah.
We should sit at two separate tables and then join after we get our food.
If one drops, then the other one. Don't eat that.
I luckily am not like, besides the smell of coconut, nuts like being in the area with me is fine. I just cannot ingest it.
Mhm.
So as long as we don't like cross contaminate plates or, get a cafe that tells me if I have an issue, it's my fault.
That was so messed up.
Oh my god, I tell that story all the time, and people are like, "What the fuck?" And
I
I'm
know,
like,
I was like, yeah, we never went there
yeah.
after that, but I was like, when we were there, I was just like, so shocked.
And I wanted a freaking omelet
Yeah, it's not like you wanted coffee or something,
or like something baked. Like it was
Yeah.
an omelet. Yeah, we went to a cafe. I wanted an omelet, but they like this cafe had a lot of nut stuff. And the guy basically told me they couldn't do anything about it. And if I ate anything off their menu and had an issue, it's my fault. If I had a reaction.
I think it'll be their fault because you've already informed them of your
Yeah.
allergy. So
Yeah.
if they cook with that without telling you, well, we don't cook any substitute alternative. Yeah, that's on their fault because they have been, informed
Yeah.
of your allergy. Any other company that tries to sit there and tell you that, well, it's not our fault, it's like, well, you informed them of your allergy. Obviously, they have to use a substitute if they even have it. If not, then that's an understanding. We don't have a
Yeah.
substitute here, so we're afraid we can't serve you. That's an
I
understanding.
yeah.
But
I
to be
literally just
informed
wanted an
and then still
omelet.
do it.
Then
And
you
I'm
had to
like,
go to
okay,
Dunkin'.
it's an omelet that none of your omelets had nut stuff in it. How hard is it to just like wipe it down real quick and make an omelet? Not hard.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
don't like nuts in my omelet either, so.
Yeah, who
but
gets...
yeah. Yeah. I have a list of places that are really good with allergies, and that one is on the never go again.
I hope I never have a child that's like that.
It sucks.
Yeah.
That's why I just don't
First
have
world
children.
problems.
I just have to deal with myself and my issues.
When they are a child, expose them to everything. Literally everything. You can.
I don't know. I eat garlic all the
So
time.
vampires and werewolves.
I ate garlic all the time, and then I still got allergic to it. I also ate bread constantly, and still became allergic to it. So
See, that's a funny thing.
Yeah, I mean,
those
like,
people with those allergies, they used to eat it a lot, and then they develop, like, to me, whatever is in coffee creamer, I used to drink that constantly.
Mhm.
Like, my cup sometimes used to be half coffee creamer and half thing, and now to me, I can't do it, and it has to be whatever dairy product or whatever's in that creamer, because I can drink milk with cereal, like, I can have that. I can drink chocolate milk. I can drink, some dairy products, but there's something in the creamer, man, it tears my ass up,
I predominantly drink almond milk because I don't like regular milk.
Is that sweeter?
You can get the unflavored one.
Why would you do that?
Because it tastes better in eggs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Because then it doesn't have its own flavor. Like, the sweeteners taste like vanilla, so it's good for coffee. But, like, I don't cook with it because I can always taste the vanilla. Personally.
Vanilla eggs, that's an interesting... Yeah.
Yeah, I did that once. I made that mistake once. That is something you only make the mistake of. Once. Because it's awful. Okay.
The fun thing is, when I ask people if they put anything like not related into products, they immediately do not think oils and they do not think milk. So I almost always have to go back and be like, well, did you use any milk or any like oils? And they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, I did. And it's like, that means you should have said yes the first time.
Yeah, whenever you come to visit me, I'm just going to take everything that could possibly contaminate it and just throw it in my closet. Okay. And then that way you have no risk. Cat. Moon she's not allowed to go in the closet because she gets lost.
But
what?
It's so fun. Allergies?
Yeah.
So fun. So fun. Hate it.
Were you saying she was allergic to cats? I don't understand. I think I got confused.
I am allergic to cats.
She doesn't have hair, you'll be fine.
It depends on what part I'm allergic to.
Yeah. I mean,
Ariana... Oh, yeah, so she can just easily cut that off the cat for you. Like, yeah, that's so easy. I'm allergic to its head.
And, honestly, she's been fine as long as we give her a bath beforehand. And she's, like, super, super allergic.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people it's the fur, and then some people it's, like, how the saliva interacts with their body.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter if they're naked or not.
Yeah.
That's why some people have, like, big fluffy cats, and they're like, I'm allergic to cats, and it's like, it's because it's the saliva and skin thing, not fur.
Yeah, Moon likes to groom people too, so we'll just be like, okay, not this one cat.
Not
Anyways,
today.
Salem's Lot, guys.
Right. But we're so good at tangents.
I know, we're so good at them.
I do my best not to. I've been doing really, really good on not doing so many side tangents, and it's like, yes, I'm improving on my speaking skills. I could tell a story without 50 side quests,
Not I cannot. ADHD for the win. It all makes sense.
It's fine. It'd be like that. So, when they failed with the flowers, they were like, you know what? We're just going to go straight to the Marston house. And I'm like, bad plan, but okay. They just basically threw away all of their plans and we're just like, we're going in. So Father Callahan blessed the house and it kind of exploded, which is fun.
The power of
Straker,
Christ.
yeah, the power of Christ impels you, I guess.
But you know what? It's kind of funny because it makes you almost wonder too with the Marston house. How much did Barlow elevate the evil that actually, um, lived there, compared to so much of Hubie Marston's satanic shit? You know, how much of it can you really sit there and say was Hubie? Now I'm even trying to say hubby, Hubie, or how much of that was Barlow? Because again, you ask about the confessional thing, and it's like I think that helps more with their battle with the vampires, with the faith, with the crucifix and everything. Because later on we'll find out that you just can't wield a crucifix and it go away, but there is a sort of power that our characters can actually hold if they believe, which that's been the crux of most Stephen King stories to begin with. Belief is such a strong superpower against Stephen King's monsters.
Kind of love that. I love hope being a weapon.
Yeah, I hate that people say it's too cheesy. It's like, no, it's actually really good.
No,
quit trying to fucking shit on hope. It's like
yeah, I mean, people will do a lot of stuff if they have the hope that things will be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here.
You see people who believe things like wholeheartedly and like they like full on like move mountains because they're just like, well, I can do it, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We label those people haters that always shit on the people that believe in themselves. And to me, that's how I always look at it. It's just the belief in yourself and you can do anything. And yeah, it may come off as, oh, really? Is that how you beat them? And I was like, well, yeah, obviously you need this and this and this. But in order to work with that, you have to, for one, have some sort of belief in yourself that you can do it.
Yeah.
And it gets shit on. I know like a lot of people sit there and call it like a bad trope. It's like, no, it's really, really good. It's like it should never, it should never be brought down.
Yeah, I love it.
Fuck
for
the haters.
Right.
And then so they go into the Marston house and Straker has been hung up upside down. Barlow left them a note which basically was like, haha, knew you guys would come, lol, get wrecked. I'm totally gonna go kill that kid's parents. And that's basically all it said. And he also left Susan in the cellar for them.
Yeah.
Just like, so there's like two ways of thought. Is they think it's either as a like this, if you're really gonna go through it, this is the kind of thing you're gonna have to do, is like basically sorry for giving you the yawn.
No.
Basically teasing teasing Ben and being like, hey, okay, you want to go kill someone, you can kill your girlfriend. Or that they couldn't get her out in time. And I don't know, I feel like he probably couldn't get Susan out in time. That's why he like pretended like, oh yeah, totally just left her there willing for you.
Yeah.
He
did it to break down Ben even more, because Ben, out of all of them, seems to be the most unstoppable one. And with that, it's mostly because of Matt. Matt's been the one to really push him on his crusade, and this was Barlow testing, well, let's just sit there, see how strong you are, author boy, and you're gonna have to kill her. It's like, and I think he kind of knows that even Callahan and all the others, they know that they can't lift the hammer to her, that only Ben can do it.
Yeah.
It's a shitty God-given right, you know, like you have to do this, you have to do this for her, but it's the shittiest thing to put on a person.
Yeah.
But
We
again,
do.
Barlow, the master of mind games, you know.
Mhm. Speaking of Barlow, we do find out that he is super old, like older than the foundation of the Catholic Church. Old.
Yeah.
We also find out that Parkins Gillespie saw Dr. Cody's car at the Marston house, but at this point, that dude is like, yeah, something's going on here. I'm not going to do anything about that. They end up finding Susan. Ben isn't sure if he can kill her. He does it though, throws up a little, but he does get the stake through her heart. And he's like, at the last second, he could see her as she was instead of like seeing her as a vampire, which is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but after that happens and they bury her, they they don't bury her. They put her in a coffin, float her down the river.
Which they never bring back up again. I feel so
Yeah.
sorry for the poor fucker that's probably out camping and then bam, coming down the river.
Well, they put rocks in it, so she should be on the bottom of the river.
Well, they
okay,
talked about it. Her mom at one point was like fuming because like, oh, I'm gonna go get that guy. He murdered my daughter and put her in a box in a river.
Mm-hmm.
And so like she had a short part where she was like absolutely pissed off. So someone clearly found her.
No, Barlow
I think
told her that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he sees everything. You know, at this point, his eyes are everywhere.
Okay.
It's very much like Dracula, where when Dracula finally traveled over to the UK to Carfax Abbey and everything, you couldn't sneak up on this guy. He had eyes everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is very much the same thing with Barlow. It's his eyes are everywhere planted, and he'll know whatever secrets that you try to hold against him. He'll figure it all out, and he uses that to manipulate even the people that haven't been turned. He'll manipulate them, and for the longest time, I thought Floyd Tibbets was the same way. And it's like, well, no, there's no way in hell. Like Floyd had to been bit,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Then the group separates. Father Callahan's going with Mark over to his parents' house to try and convince them, which I just thought, terrible plan. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Don't know why you guys are separating, but okay.
Yep.
So we get a mention for a second of Richie the bully, who I wrongly accused Ralphie for. It'd be like that. So, then we're basically getting flashed through the entire town. We get to see Reggie, who has, like, honestly, trigger warnings real quick, but yeah. So Reggie beat up Bonnie, and then he also is raping her every single night. And I'm like, this is so, like, messed up.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one thing that you caught her cheating, but this right here, for one, you could already tell that Reg had some type of abuse. He definitely looked like he could be an abuser, and for this, he kind of feels like, well, I'm justified in my abuse, and it's nasty. No matter which way you look at it, it's nasty as ever, and it goes back
definitely.
to the mom that abused her baby. In here, it's I think, like, for anyone reading this book, those are really your two huge trigger warnings, in this whole book. And even whenever I read them, still it's very discomforting. And obviously that was meant for us to feel. It's this whole town is just fallen in shambles, and
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. If I sound like I'm outside, it's because I am, which is different, so you might get some outdoor sounds right now. Gotta make it work where we can. It's what we do. If you want to find more exclusive content, you can find me over on Patreon. You can subscribe as low as $1 a month, and you get access to a bunch of great exclusive bonus content. Whenever I get internet again, I will be back on Twitch, so make sure to subscribe, and then as soon as I have internet, I will make an announcement. And then you can find me wherever you find me, on all the socials. I'll be everywhere, because I will be enjoying it and loving it, and embracing the fact that I have internet in my home again. Hopefully soon. I don't know. But if you did notice that this cut off a little more abruptly than usual, it's because this episode was very, very long. So it's being cut between this week and next week's episode. So to get like the real outro and stuff like that, you'll get that all next week. And you'll get the rest of this little part of the book. And, well, the rest of the book. But thank you all so much for listening. Our logo is designed by my little sibling Sarah. Our theme song was by Raphael Crux. And I'll catch you all in the next chapter. Bye!